If you're a fall lover like me, you very likely put a whole lot of pressure on yourself to have the best, ultimate spooky season ever. I'm slowly working my way through these internalized pressures to make sure that every time autumn rolls around, I am just enjoying whatever comes my way in terms of experiences, travel, and cozy hobby time. But I can happily report that this fall has been very successful for me, giving me opportunities to do like seasonal self-care activities to help kind of cope with the demands of work, adulting, all those obligations. I am so excited to share with you some of my favorite things from spooky season. So let's get right into them, starting off with some of my favorite books that I read this past September and October. I first started off September by dabbling a little bit into the cozy mystery genre, which is something that I've been gravitating towards more and more as I start to consume videos here on YouTube, as I'm such a huge fan of BookTube, where people are reading cozy mysteries. So I wanted to kind of give it a little taste test in early fall, and I did find my sweet spot, which is kind of like that paranormal cozy mystery. Like there has to be some spooky or supernatural element to it, and I really do feel like my top cozy mystery series of all time definitely has to be the Blue Moon Bay Witches series. I've talked about this series before, but I still can't stop laughing at how poorly rated these books are, and yet I love them so much. Like they're one of my top books of September. So you'll probably hate it, but I love it so much. And I think it's because it has a main character whose voice isn't annoying or grating to me. She's funny, she's silly, she has a development, a story that happens throughout the course of these books. There's a little bit of romance, and at the time of, early fall, I wasn't really into romance, but you'll see as I go into November and December and chat with you more about my TBRs and what I've read for that, you'll see that will quickly change. Like I'm very much in a romance era right now, but it all started and my gateway was cozy mysteries. If you're somebody who loves witchy books that talk a lot about food and there's a big emphasis on friendships and that kind of development and a teensy bit of romance, you might want to give this series a shot. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. It's probably going to be for maybe the writing, which I didn't really mind. Speaking of romance and spooky vibes, I really enjoyed Fang Fiction, which is a new release that came out this fall. If you're a fan of like the Twilight series or any kind of like vampire series that has a huge fan base, because it's kind of like the commentary that's going on in this book, you might want to check this one out. I know that some people don't really like the second half of the book. I loved it. I came into this romance novel really seeking the, escapism that comes from a lighter book. And I think the tone goes from serious because there is conversations regarding SA, off page, but it's discussed fairly in depth, where if that's something that you're sensitive to, you might want to steer clear of it, but it isn't something that like takes over the entire book, because the author was really intentional about highlighting the healing journey. And at the time I was reading this book, I just really wanted like happy vibes. I wanted that happily ever after. I didn't mind the tonal shifts from serious to a little bit more lighthearted. And I just love the world building. And I hope that there's more books in this series, or it becomes a series, because I think there's a lot to work with here. Another favorite book of mine is actually also about vampires too. This one I believe might be an indie published book, and that is How to Bite a Neighbor and Win a Wager, which is one book in a series. I think it's called like Guide to Dating Vampires, and this one is purely romance. It's between a male vampire and a male human, and it's literally the cutest book that I've read in so long. I have to give this book credit probably for being the book that solidified my interest in romance, and I think that getting into romance is easier when there's monsters involved. This book also taught me that I really love slow burns, and that it is just much more of a satisfying journey. And just reading books that are mostly like insta love without really developing the tension that allows for a romance novel to be super satisfying for me, just like kind of reading those all the time kind of gave me a false impression of what the romance genre is really all about and what romance novelists can do. So I'm really happy that this book showed me what I actually really love and what resonates with me about the romance genre. And then last, but definitely not least, probably my favorite book of the entire fall season has to go to the amazing Cotton Candy Massacre Part 3 by Christopher Robertson. We do not have enough time for me to talk about how much I love this book. It is funny, it is sentimental, It is a great addition to this franchise. Well, I mean, it's a series, but it really should be a movie, but I don't know how they would ever be able to adequately depict on screen what goes on in this one. It has to probably be my favorite in the entire series. Mostly new characters here, but they don't feel all that new. Like just the speed in which you're able to emotionally identify with these characters and then, throw them very quickly into a crisis of unimaginable clown chaos. I don't know how he does it, but he is just such a great writer. And so I highly encourage you to pick up this book if you love clowns and you want kind of like a heavy yet lighthearted toned book about community and friends. I think there's a really sweet layer to this series where, on the surface, it is horror, but there's a sentimentality to these stories that just has you really connect and has us be an impactful book that is hard to forget. Let's chat about all of the movies that I really, really loved watching this fall. Found footage was a big part of my fall, and it still kind of is as we're making our way into the winter months. But watching Wreck, which I haven't seen in a long time, like basically I've never seen it because I remember nothing. That movie was so good, and I know the other films in the franchise aren't as beloved as the original, but I will give them a shot solely because I'm fascinated to see the background, the lore that is involved with the, creature horror element that came up in this film. And then Hell House LLC, what took me so long to get to this movie? Honestly, I think it's the cover of this film. They should have done a little bit better with this poster in communicating actually the atmosphere, the creep factor of this movie. I don't think it's the most scariest found footage movie I've ever seen, or even the most believable, but I think what makes this a favorite of mine this fall is just the atmosphere. Basically the house was a main character, and I think they did a really good job of making it seem so real, so textured. And when things start to go down, I think that makes it all the more menacing because you just do not know what is happening. Surprisingly, I did have a few series that were my favorites this fall. I've had the goal to watch the original Addams Family series for many, many years. It's between that one and the Munsters. I really just want to knock those off and be able to really understand the origins of something that I really love so much when I'm watching the Addams Family movies from the 90s and then the Wednesday show on Netflix. I really just want to see the origin story for these characters that are just so famous today. And I probably have to say, watching an episode of the Addams Family during Halloween time is probably the perfect way to celebrate. They live Halloween all year long. They're so cheesy, you have that laugh track. There's just something so comforting about it that every Halloween, I think I just want to save a few episodes and watch them then. On a very different note, I watched the entire series of Grotesquerie, which is a new show on FX. I was completely enraptured, obsessed with this series up until you have that huge twist, the huge reveal, I think around episode 5 or 6 or something. And I was just, from then on out, very confused. I still am confused with that season wrap up. I'm okay, so are we gonna have season 2? No questions were answered. I think I just got more confused. So I don't know if I even like it. I haven't even processed it because it's not done. So I went from really loving it, completely obsessed, to just being so confused about how I feel about it. So I still count it as a favorite because of my initial reaction to it early on. But yeah, I don't know what happened. So if you do, let me know how you think the series wrapped up, because I have no theories, I have no thoughts. When it comes to beauty products, I do have a few fall faves that are just total standouts for me. I just love the way that scent allows you to have such a visceral response to a memory or time of year, and it's just really funny. So the first thing here I have is the Autumn Air and Amber Native Deodorant. This is seasonal. After I put on my deodorant, I would add this Greywick Lane Jack-o'-lantern body spray, which when you think of body spray, for me, I'm always concerned about it just kind of, going away, disappearing. I love it so much. It's basically empty. It has notes of sweet pumpkin, caramel cream, and autumn spice. So after I sprayed myself with this, I would then add Witch City Wicks Pumpkinhead roller perfume to my wrists. So this was the fall beauty trifecta routine. It was just hilarious to me because on 2 separate occasions, I had students in the middle of class just turn to me and say, "You smell like caramel," or "You you smell like pumpkin spice. And it was like the greatest moment ever. I was like, guys, you made my day. So it's just like proof that I was living my best pumpkin spice life if people literally at the end of my workday are commenting that I smell like Halloween. And we can't forget to chat a little bit about some cozy gaming I did this fall. For me, fall was all about the Sims 4 paranormal game pack as well as the vampire pack. I didn't get through as much as I wanted to with the paranormal pack, but I did really enjoy getting to hang out with my character, Dolly, in her gorgeous Victorian home. Dream goals, love it. And then I did create a new character to try out this whole like vampire storyline, trying to figure out how to become like a master vampire. So I created my character, Star, obviously a Lost Boys reference, and I had her and Vlad kind of have this like grumpy sunshine moment. I mean, at their heart, they're both evil and they're just like sucking the blood of any sim that dares to be around their home, their estate, their mansion that I love. Slowly but surely, Star is winning over and warming up the heart of Vlad. It is a tale of the times, I'll tell you. Fall, I miss it already, but around here we celebrate Halloween all year long. So definitely subscribe to get your daily dose of spookiness. And let me know down below in the comments, what were your fall faves? Any books, movies, series, gaming, products, decor? Let me know. Can't wait to chat with you all, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.